So today is kind of a semi-review. It's just a little bit more complicated situation. It's when we've got a coefficient in the front, and it's kind of like number 10 of the quiz. So today is like number 10 of the quiz, and that's the difference. All right, first off, when you look at the form here, first off, you got to realize that the A, B, and C are constants. They're numbers. They're coefficients. So constant means a number, right? Can a 5 be anything other than a 5? No, a 5 is a 5. It's a constant thing. 7 is a 7, and 11 is an 11. All right, also coefficient because it's a multiplier of the variable. So understand the A, the B, and the C are numbers. Just like in our example here, the 6 is the A, the negative 13 is the B, and the 5 is the C. It's not a big deal that you know that. I mean, that's just a form. All right, our method is still trial and error because we're dealing with trinomials. And when you see trinomial, your brain says trial and error. But again, every time you factor, your first thought is always factor out common factors first. How many times do you think I'm going to say that by the end of this chapter? Beaucoup would be the answer. Beaucoup. Will some still forget to factor out common factors first? I don't know how, but they will. How is it even possible? Well, I'll have a short answer on the front of your test. And the answer will be factor out common factors first. And you'll put the right answer in the short answer blank, and then you won't factor out common factors first. How is that possible? I don't know. But it'll happen. Hope not to you. All right. Factor out common factors first. All right, so let's look at a couple things here. I'll bring this down. That's fine. All right. Not only can the front... do I have a can? Okay, good. Change my notes here. Not only can the front term produce more than one set of possible factors, and that's the kind we're doing today. The front term can cause more than one set of possible factors. It can cause the placement of the back factors to matter. And I'll show you both of those in a moment. Now look, there's nothing there I'm going to ask you again later. It's just the concept of what we're doing. Here's what I'm trying to say. Because the front isn't just an n squared or x squared or a squared, but it's going to be a 3x squared or 6a squared or a 4x squared or 2n squared or an 8n squared. That can give us more than one possible front. And because the two fronts might be different, it matters where you place the back. And I'll show you all of that with examples. Okay, so let's go ahead and factor this trinomial. What has to be my first thought? Factor out common factors first. Anybody see any common factors in our trinomial? There are none, but we thought it, didn't we? I hope we did. Okay. Next thing to do is always 2 parentheses. Now, normally you'd only do one set of 2 parentheses. In this problem, we actually have 2 sets of 2 parentheses. I'll show you why in a moment. Okay, the next step is always factors of the front, yes? And what is our front? Let me go higher now. We don't need those words. Factors of the front, we're doing factors of a 6x squared, right? Somebody raise your hand and give me one possible set of factors of a 6x squared. Ethan? Yeah, not quite the concept. Andrew? 6x times x. That is true. Let's put those in the front. 6x and x. But that's not the only possibility. What's the other possibility, Ethan? 2x times 3x or 3x times 2x doesn't matter. So let's put that in the back set. I like to have the possibilities in front of me because there's more than one set of front possibilities. What have I noticed in my 28 years of teaching Algebra 1? This is what I've noticed. I've noticed students, for a problem like this, writing either 6x and x, or their brain thinks the other way, and their first set of parentheses is 3x and 2x. And the first one they chose doesn't have the correct back pairs. And you know what they write? Prime. Because they fail to remember that the front could have a second possibility. But I've tried to instruct my students through the years to take care of the details and write out two sets of parentheses right off the bat, so that if you get done working your first set and don't find it, you go try the second set. That's the way you got to do it, trial and error. So the first set is 6x and x, and the second is 2x and 3x. And I'm not sure which one it is. Matter of fact, I didn't even do this problem because I like having fun. All right, so now, Windows. So now in the back, we know factors in the back have to be 5y squared. Well, thankfully here, there's only one choice, 5y and y. And, ooh, by the way, negative 5y and negative y, right? I should put both. Let me put both of those. Is it going to be the positive 5y times the positive y, or is it going to be the negative 5y times the negative y? Which is it going to be? It has to be the negative. It's the only way to get a negative in the middle. Remember, it's all about the middle. Middle is where you're heading. You have to know where you're heading. So I know these are not going to be it. I know I'm going to use negative 5y and negative y. So let me start showing you the thought process. I want you to write this in your notes. Remember, I'm always looking at the outers first. So, what if I put the y, the negative y here, and the negative 5y in the front? Go ahead and write that. Okay, what are my outers? Negative 6xy. Agreed? What are my inners? Negative 5xy. Did that work? No. Now again, I would be doing this in my mind. I wrote it because I want you to show you what I'm thinking. Guess what? Come on, Windows, cut it out. Make sure you do this again. We got to set it up again, 6x and x, because I want to show you that the order matters. Because the front of one is a 6 and the front of the other is a 1, let's swap the negative y and 5y. Now let's stick the negative 5y in the back. And let's stick the negative y in the front. Again, we got to use negative y and negative 5y, but we switch the order. So now what are my outers? Say it if you know it. No, what are my outers? Negative 30xy. And what are my inners? Negative xy. See how we get a different middle? We still use negative y and negative 5y. But because one of the fronts is a 6 and the other front is a 1, it matters what position you put them in. Which means you get a whole lot more possibilities. Trial and error. Now some of you want a problem, just do it and get it done. These aren't it. You gotta, but again, if you go through the thinking process, look, I would have never written anything on the 6x and x. Because I would have done this in my head and said, nope, doesn't work. And what would I have done in my head? Outers plus inners. Nope. Outers plus inners. Nope. Okay. It's got to be the second possibility. So now I'm going to do the second possibility. What do you want? The negative y in the front and the negative 5y in the back, or the other way around? How do you want it? Other way around? So negative 5y in the front, negative y in the back. Let's see how that works out. Again, I would be doing this in my head. Negative 2xy, negative 15xy. Nope. That wasn't it either. This is trial and error. Okay. Fourth trial. By the way, if it's an odd, and you say, well, I tried it 6x minus 5y, x minus y, and 6x minus y, x minus 5y. I tried it 2 times. Okay, good. Quit. Just miss them when you get to the quiz and miss them when you get to the test, and miss them next chapter when we do polynomials, and miss them next year when we do quadratics, and miss them next year when we do all the other stuff, and keep missing them. Feel free. It's your prerogative. All right, let's switch the order. Hope we're going to be there now. Here's my outers, negative 10xy. And again, I would have been doing this in my head. Here's my inners, negative 13xy. Ding, 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 ding. Hooray! I finally found the correct middle, and this is my answer. So what ends up happening? A lot more possibilities. A lot more possibilities. Now again, let me be clear. All of that would have been in my head. I would have written the 2 parentheses with the 6x and x, 2x and 3x. I would have written them. But then in my brain, I'd be looking at the backs and the forwards. I'll show you that on the next one. Okay? But you got to go through the possibilities. Let's do the next one. All right. Can we factor out any common factors? Oh, what are we going to factor out? Because I got to know. Oh, okay. Let's take out that common y. That leaves us a 2x squared minus x minus 3. Remember, don't forget your y. Next, do you agree 2 parentheses, right? So now, it's always time after your 2 parentheses, look at your front. By the way, you're looking in the trinomial. My front is a 2x squared. Oh, good. At least there's only one possibility, 2x times x, right? So this one only has one set of possible parentheses, because it's a 2. The last one was a 6. 6 and 1, 2, and 3. This is a 2. Okay, that's good. I don't need another set of parentheses, right? Because there's only one possible front pairs. You follow? One possible front pairs. Okay, now I'm working off the back. And I got a negative 3, right? That's my back. So I got to be careful here. I'm going to list them all for you. You don't always need to do this, but again, some of you, you don't understand there's all these possible pairs. I'm going to show you. Does the order matter where I put them, front or back? It does, because the front of this one's a 2 and the front of that one's a 1. The order matters. So a negative 3 could be a negative 1 times a 3, or it could be a positive 3 in the front and negative 1 in the back, right? Switch the place. Or it could be a positive 1 times a negative 3, or I could change that order and be negative 3 times positive 1. There's 4 possibilities because of the order. So negative 1 times 3, or switch the order, 3 times negative 1. 1 times negative 3, or switch the order, negative 3 times 1. Those are 4 different things, right? Once you change your... Okay. Stay with me now. Stay with me now. Think now. Think now, okay? Here's where I go. First off, I recognize what my middle is. I got to know the middle. It's what I'm after. It's where I'm going. Anybody know how to get to Oshkosh? Anybody know how to get to Oshkosh? Nobody knows how to get to Oshkosh? All right. In the old days, you'd have a hard time getting there. Now you'd probably put in your GPS and hope that it tells you, or your Google. Nobody knows where Oshkosh is? It's in Wisconsin. Okay. But you got to know where you're going if you're going to get there. Where are we going? We're going to a negative 1x. How are we going to get there? We're going to do our outers. So watch. Don't write anything else except do the arrow and do the O. But now the rest is thinking. I have a 3 and a 1. Watch, don't write this. This is my thought. A 3 gives me a 6. With a 1 in the middle, will that give me a negative 1, a 6 and a 1? No way. So I know, I did it in my mind. It's definitely not the 3. Then I stick the 1 there. A 2 and a 3. Can that get me to a 1? Yes. But I need the 3 to be positive and the 2 to be negative to get to it. Oh, sorry. I'm backwards. I need the 3 to be negative and the 2 to be positive. So I end up in the middle with a negative 1x where I'm heading. See, I did it in my head. I ran through the possibilities in my head looking at the outers plus inners. It's all about the outers plus the inners. And then practice to get better. The more you practice, the better you get. Of course, that's not true, right? No truth to that. No truth to that. Everybody at ODAC states tomorrow, that'd be like the second time they've done their speech, right? Once for regionals and once for states. Second time they've done it because practice doesn't make a difference, right? All right, what are you going to do with C? Say it if you know it. Factor out the common what? What is it? 2. The common 2 here. 5n squared plus 13n minus 6. I'm going to do this one fast for time's sake. Okay, when I see a trinomial, I try 2 parentheses, right? Trial and error. And by the way, don't forget your 2 out front, right? Now remember, my fronts have to multiply to what? 5n squared. Am I going to have 2 sets of parentheses on this? No, because it's got to be 5n and n. There's only one possibility here. Our last example, I'm going to skip the next one. Our last one will get us back to a 2. Okay, my backs, negative 6. All right, I'm going to give you just a second. I wish I had more time for you to think. Think about your outers. Think about your inners with a negative 6. And where are you heading to? You're heading to a positive 13. All right, see if you can get there. Think it through in your head. Think about what your outers. You got a negative 6 to deal with. You got basically 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Make sure that you use things that multiply to negative 6 and then give you outers and inners of positive 13. $30 and 1. I don't think that's going to be it. 5 and 6. That's not going to get me there either. Those are done. It's all about the outers and the inners adding up to a positive 13. By the way, do you see now how we need that middle step of factoring out the common factor? Thinks they found the pair. Okay, and the rest of you need a lot more practice because, all right, everybody look up here at this point. Again, don't write anything, just quick thinking. You got a 6, 1 and 6. When I put a 6 there, what do I already have? 30. Is a 30 and a 1 going to get me to 13? No. Okay, stick the 1 there. What do I have now? A 5. What do I have on the other side? A 6. Will a 5 and a 6 ever become a 13? No, that's out. Those are out. 6 and 1 are done. Okay, now I'm up to 3 and 2. 3 in the back. 5 times 3 is 15. Can you get a 15 and a 2 to be a 13? Oh, yeah. And what does my middle have to be? Positive. So what do the 15 have to be positive and the 2 have to be negative? Are those legal? Negative 2 and positive 3? Yeah, because they multiply to negative 6. That's it. 2 times quantity 5n minus 2 times quantity n plus 3. How many got that one? Okay. And again, the rest, it's practice. You got to get it to where it becomes comfortable in your brain. All right, for time's sake, I got to skip D. Let's get to, or E. Let's get to D number 2. 2D. 2D, 2D, 2D. All right. It's Cary Grant, if you don't know. All right, are there any common factors?
Okay.
All right, 2 parentheses. Agreed? Or another set of 2 parentheses, right? Don't neglect this when the front can be more than one thing. Mr. Scarfy, will you ever give us one where the front could be 3? I won't, just for time's sake. It'll just drive you crazy. It'll be too many possibilities. But is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. But we're not going to drive you that crazy. Just semi-crazy. Yeah. All right, so 4x and x, right? Or the other possibility is 2x and 2x, right? We got 2 possibilities. So now again, you got to start running through your possibilities. But you better know where you're heading. Class, where are you heading? Positive 11x is where you're heading. That's where you're going. Can you get there? Hey, thankfully I gave you a 3. What if I gave you like 24 back there? Oh my, 124, 212, 3 8, 4 6. All right. This is just 3 and 1. 3 and 1. All right, see if you can get there. See if you can get there. 3 and 1. Veronica's done. Yeah, she's done. Andrew's done? No. Still looking? Anybody else done yet? Sam's done. Ileana's done. Come on, look at it yourself. Use your brain. You're after a positive 11 in the middle. I guarantee you this. All Veronica cared about were the outers and the inners. That's what she cared about. I hope that's what you're looking at. I hope you just think it in your brain. You got 1 and 3 to deal with. Just make sure that they multiply to a negative 3 when you're done. Anybody else find it yet? All right, bunch of you. By the way, it was the first set. If you put a 3 there, what do you have already? 12. And what's the other number? Can you get a 12 and a 1 to be an 11? Well, yeah. And you need a positive 11, so how about a positive 12 and a negative 1, right? It's all about the outers plus the inners. That's it. That gives you a positive 11x in the middle. All right. Keep practice, guys. Keep practice. Keep practice. Practice makes perfect. I need your attention, though. Listen. I want you guys to do your homework tonight. I know we don't have school tomorrow, but I want you to do your homework tonight. Just get it done, especially you ODAX people. Am I saying you have to do it tonight? No, but look, get it over with. Then you'll have the whole 3-day weekend to relax. It's my advice. You can take it or leave it. All right, have a good day.